Hello and welcome to Adventures with ADHD, where each week I shared the spotlight on a fabulous ADHDer. And today I have got with me Ems Rae Searle. Hi Ems, thanks for coming.
Hello.
Thank you. So Ems, I'm just going to go straight in with the questions, okay?
Mhm.
So, where are you based and what do you do for work?
So I'm based in Farnham in Surrey. Hopefully not for much longer because I'm really bored of it here. But I am an ethical marketing strategist. So I help business owners market their business in an ethical way, and unknowingly a very ADHD friendly way. So I ended up with a lot of clients with ADHD too, which is quite funny.
Yeah, thank you. And I've been to some of your workshops and I love the stuff you do. It's really helped me consider my marketing in an ethical way as well. So fabulous. So, what led you to your ADHD diagnosis?
TikTok. I'll be really honest with you. I was scrolling through TikTok and I was like, that sounds like me. That sounds like me too. Maybe there's something here. Maybe I'm not just quirky. Maybe there's something that I've struggled with my whole life and it's not just a bunch of personality traits. And then I went to my doctors. They said, we don't think you've got ADHD. And I said, well, I don't care. I would like a referral, please.
Yeah.
And then I got the referral, and then I got diagnosed within, I had an hour meeting, and it was done over Zoom with Psychiatry UK. And the meeting was for 60 minutes, and he diagnosed me 20 minutes in and went, what else would you like to talk about? Because it was that glaringly obvious to him. So I don't understand how my doctor said no.
And you know what? This is so common with the GP route. And I'm so glad you were like, well, I just want the referral. I don't want your opinion, because
Yeah.
you have to. Otherwise, you could then go back and spend another couple of years. So fantastic that you knew what you wanted. You wanted that assessment. Good.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. I
So
was
yeah. And when was that?
That was about a year and a half ago. So I think I asked for the referral around April last year, actually, probably only a year ago, because I think I got diagnosed this time last year. So it was only a couple of months waiting, which was really, really lucky, because I used the right to choose. And then since then, I think it got a little bit swarmed and there's been a lot of people asking. So the waiting lists are back up again. But I did get very lucky getting my referral and appointment and everything so quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's worth mentioning that actually because some people are told years and then they do get an appointment quicker. So it's always good to get on the list, isn't it?
Yeah,
Fantastic.
absolutely.
Yeah. So now you know it's not a bunch of personality traits, that it's a condition. What is different for you?
I'm blaming myself a lot less for things. So I find myself being a lot less harsh with myself for things that I struggle with or I'm just unable to do. And I've found that I've been a lot more willing to accept help because I'm kind of a control freak. If you didn't know that about me already, I like to control all of the things, even the things that are vastly beyond anyone's control. And I've sort of been forced to step back a little bit and to just sort of take life a little bit more slowly and let things go, because I can't control everything, and knowing that like it's not just me being lazy, it's an issue that I have with approaching certain tasks, for example. I'm not a lazy person, so I'm approaching things in, I think, a much more compassionate way with myself, which has been really helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's quite such a good place to start, self-compassion. Absolutely, because the the thoughts we can have about ourselves, why can't I just do this? It can take its toll, can't it? So that's
Yeah.
great for being more compassionate.
Yeah,
Fab.
definitely. I think I grew up as well in a space where, and I don't want to tell on them, but my family have a habit of if you don't do X, you're lazy. And it's always been like that ever since I was a little girl. So I've got that voice in the back of my head of, oh, if you don't do this and this and this and this and burn yourself out, you're a lazy human being and therefore not worthy of love and affection and all of this stuff. And I've come to terms with this in the last couple of years, and I'm slowly starting to let go of it. But I didn't realize that none of that trauma was normal. And I didn't realize the reason I struggled so much with it in the first place was because of my ADHD through childhood that went completely ignored. And looking back on it, it was glaringly obvious that there was something up. Not many kids can listen to an audiobook and read a book at the same time and then recount both stories back to you. And I was that kid. And everyone just thought, oh, well, you know, she's quirky and she likes to read, tee. And it's like, no, there was something weird there, and everyone ignored it and pretended like it was regular.
Oh gosh, so a lot of reflection over the looking back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Oh, wow. Okay. Um, so tell me, what are some of your strengths, and relate them to ADHD or not? What's good about you?
I think sorry, I think my need for things to be right, ethically and morally speaking, and wanting to stand up and actively make a difference. I'm quite outspoken, and I do think that is one of my strengths, because I never used to be. It took a long time for me to get here. And sorry. A bit of a frog in my throat, but yeah, I've been quite outspoken, and that's really, really helpful. And I think as well, my ability to kind of tap into my confidence and to make my ADHD work for me, if that makes sense. Like, I have always had really, really intense interests, and I've really struggled to do things that I wasn't interested in, to the point where when I was at school, I may or may not have gotten myself kicked out of maths and science so that I could do extra drama and art, but it meant that I excelled in those subjects. And I wasn't supposed to take media studies because I was in the top band, and apparently you weren't allowed to do media if you were in the top band. And I, kicked and stomped, and I managed to get into the media class anyway. And I got my way, and they were like, well, you're going to have to drop a language and a humanity. And I was like, cool, I have no interest in German or history, so thanks. So being very outspoken has really helped me get on the path that I wanted to. And media studies ultimately led me to where I am now, with wanting to help people be creative in their marketing and also do it in a way where it feels good for people. So everything, I think, comes down to me kind of stomping my feet where needed.
Yeah. And that's the key, isn't it?
Yeah,
Finding what you're good at, what you're passionate about, and then creating whatever it is you want to do. And the fact that you did that through school as well and managed to do the subjects you excelled in, is a massive deal.
exactly. Like, I did think, oh, I'll do all of the things that I should be doing, as we do. And I found that really detrimental to my mental health. From the age of 17 to 23-ish, I think, I worked in software. I have absolutely no interest in software. It sucked. I hated it. Sorry if anyone I used to work with is watching this. Not a fan. I've got no interest in it. I had interest in the companies and the marketing and the way that the businesses were run. And so I just took those interests and ran with them. And that's why I've got my own business now. Because working for another company where I didn't get to call the shots, and when it was about something that I wasn't actually invested in, I found it so difficult to get through day by day. And I'm a very high level, like, I've got very good attention to detail, unless I don't care about the project, in which case things are going to sort of, if I'm not interested in it. So I only take on work that I find interesting now, and I have the freedom to do that because of the path that I've chosen, which is very, very lucky for me. I know that comes from a huge place of privilege because not everyone can do that. But yeah.
Yeah, and that is so important, whether you're self-employed or not, that you're doing something you're interested in. And it breaks my heart when other ADHDers are in jobs where they're just might, hate it. And I'm like, oh God, please do something you're interested in. Um, yeah, it's so important. So thank you. So, have you got any stories or anecdotes where your ADHD has kind of landed you in trouble or embarrassed you?
Not necessarily, well, probably, yeah. I'm not sure about being embarrassed, but the anecdote that comes to mind that I think is probably one of my favorite ones is my first day on ADHD meds. I'm not on meds anymore because I really struggle with the side effects, like having a tense jaw and all of that stuff. So I'm managing everything myself. And just trying to make the ADHD work for me instead of to lessen the effects of it, if that makes sense. But my first day on meds, I was sat on the couch behind me with my laptop trying to do some work. And you know how they say you should get started with your work day and take your meds and then let them settle in, and then you can really get into your work. Like, start the thing that you want to be doing for the day before you take the meds and then see how you go. I got distracted. I went upstairs to go to the loo. I accidentally dropped a pair of tweezers down the back of a cabinet,
Oh,
which ended in 8 to 9 hours of me deep cleaning the bathroom. I took the cabinet apart. I cleaned every bottle in the bathroom. I wiped down the shelves. I cleaned the ceiling. I cleaned in the light fixture. And my productivity was way up here, but it was just 110% on the wrong thing. And then I was behind the rest of the week.
brilliant. So yes, medication can be really helpful for some. Some people choose not to and manage it their own way, myself as well. But that is just so funny. It helped you, but not on what you were supposed to be
Not in the right way, no. And the thing is, I found it when I was using it for work, and the few weeks after that first sort of mild disaster, I did quite well with the medication in general. It was the physical side effects of the sore muscles and my brain constantly going and heart palpitations, which I think was just taking a stimulant on top of having anxiety. It just didn't really mesh with my other mental health stuff, if that makes sense. So that's why I'm choosing not to medicate, but not just because I get distracted and end up cleaning a bathroom on a Tuesday when I've got loads of work to do.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Brilliant. So, on that note, what does help you then with your ADHD?
The Pomodoro timer thingy technique,
Yeah.
that's been really, really helpful for me. So I have found a few playlists on YouTube with like study with me videos that have Pomodoro timers built in, but during the work sections, they have either sort of ASMR ambient sounds or ADHD focus music specifically. So it's forcing me to focus, but only for little chunks of time so I don't end up getting all the way into one task and then forgetting about my other tasks for the day. And other than that, I couldn't find an ADHD planner that I really enjoyed and got on with, like an ADHD friendly planner. And all of the other planners were too structured for me. So I created my own in Canva, and that really, really helps me. I only give myself a couple of work tasks a day because I know the second I give myself a big long to-do list, I'm going to get overwhelmed and I'm going to scare myself into doing something that's not necessarily as important and spend all day on that instead, and then again end up behind on my workload.
Wow. Okay, I have two things that I mustn't let go. So the planner, is that available for people
It
to?
can be. Yeah, I'm thinking
Yeah,
about putting it on my website. I was a little bit unsure whether it's worthwhile because obviously with my business being marketing, I didn't know whether just a ADHD friendly day planner would be worth it, but I am considering putting it on my website for people to go and download for a really, really low cost.
I think that would be amazing because, like you say, when the moment you've got too many things on the task list, you then we can then go and do something else, and then feel like, oh, I haven't done what I wanted to do. So yes, please, and do let me know about that.
Yeah, I will.
And the other thing, the Pomodoro technique is for those people that don't know, it's a 20-minute focus time, isn't it? And then a 5-minute break, or do you
I
work?
have a feeling mine is 25 minutes and then 5 minutes. So you've got half-hour chunks in total. But I take the 5 minutes to go stand outside or get a cup of tea, or just stretch my legs a little bit because I will hyper focus on something and then end up sitting hunched over Gollum style in one position for several hours. And that's really not been good on my back. So
Yeah, yeah, that's right. It's 25 minutes, then 5 minutes. And I've kind of adapted mine for 20 minutes and then 5 minutes. But it really does. Yeah, I would urge people to try this because, like you say, you don't get stuck in for hours on something.
Yeah.
You're having those movement breaks, which are then helping you be more productive. I like it.
Absolutely. The YouTube videos I would highly recommend to anyone, because they've got, like I said, they've got ADHD focus music for the 25 minutes, and then a 5-minute break, and it will tell you like, right, time to take a break. And then the music changes, which I find really, really helpful. And they're like 3-4 hours long on YouTube, these videos. So you can just have it playing in the background. So if I'm working in the living room, I'll often have one playing on the television with my laptop in front of me. So it's separate noise. And that way I don't have the TV on getting distracted, or the radio or a podcast. So
Okay, thank you. If you wouldn't mind sending me a link that I can add to this when I send this interview out, I think that will be really helpful.
yeah, absolutely. But if I forget, please do
I'll,
remind me.
I'll remind you, don't worry.
Thanks.
And finally, then, what would you say, what bit of advice would you give to somebody that's just been diagnosed or is about to have an assessment and they're feeling a bit lost?
Get help. Go to other people who may or may not have ADHD, people who will understand, and get support from other people who get what it's like. Because it's all well and good going to, I don't know, for example, I wouldn't go to my sister with issues that I have because she is neurotypical. She doesn't understand my struggles. I think it's really important to get a group of people, or even just one person that you can go to and be really, really brutally honest with, that you trust, who also is neurodivergent. So you've got someone else that you can talk to who really gets it, because it helps you feel a little bit less alone and a little bit less like a nut job for spending 9 hours cleaning a bathroom on a Tuesday.
Because somebody else will have a very similar story, won't they? Yeah,
Exactly.
thank you. And this is key, isn't it? Getting one person or a group and sharing those experiences, and oh yeah,
Yeah.
invaluable.
Shameless plug, join Susie's Facebook group, because that's where all of those people hang out.
Thank you. Yes, do join my group. I'll put a link to that as well. Ems, thank you so much for sharing your story and giving so much advice. It's going to really help other people that are a bit lost as well. So thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
I'll see you again.